Got a stormy weekend and it's right between storms, so I came out to do a little scouting. Actually, as the sun came back out, it is really hot out, so I'm sweating bricks. But it's just a couple days to July. I decided to get out here and make some use of the day. I got some other spots I want to check out deeper in. This spot I've hunted a couple years now. Last year Eric had a spike walk past them, and we had a lot of sign here, and a lot of good movement with deer right in and out of here. I know there's some bedding right over here in this grass, and there's some points over here. Some of it goes onto private. This is a good buffer onto the public, but there's some heavy trails coming through here. This is my tree. There's very few trees in here. It's what keeps hunters out of here, but I get right underneath that limb, and there's a good shot that way and through here. Heavy trails here, heavy trails over there. And coming back here, what I'm seeing is, you know, lots of browsing. See that? And these plants, this orange julep, this will be in prime in September. So it's good to know that it's in here heavy and it's being fed on. And then when I walked over here a little bit and took a look around, I noticed this oak tree here, which we're in swamp and there's very few oaks. There's this one and a couple more that way, but the bedding's that way. This is like the last oak going into the swamp. I noticed that the wind from the storm last night blew it off, and it is just packed with little acorns starting. So that's, you know, not even 20 yards from the tree. So that's the last oak going out into the swamp where all the bedding is. So this is looking like a real good early season spot. I know last year we had a lot of sign in here, and I had problems with pheasant hunters getting back in here quite a bit. So I think hitting this real early will be key. So I really wasn't thinking about the oaks, but I was thinking a little bit about the orange julep and the stinging nettles that are in here, which is also a very good early season food source. And knowing that the bedding is right there, especially early season, I really wanted to check this out and just see. I'm glad I did, because it's looking real good. So hopefully this pays off in September. Now it's on to the next spot before I overheat. You see all this orange julep is just nipped off. And I know over there I saw some stinging nettles, all kinds of plants in here that they eat. When you look, it's all just nipped off. Here's another real heavy trail coming through here, right in range of the tree. I'm at a spot I scouted in winter, and in winter I could get across the ice and stuff. Right now it's really sketchy, but I gotta get across this creek to scout it and to make sure I can get a shot into this stuff here. But I'm gonna shoot across the creek, but this is really sketchy crossing this creek, but I gotta get over there to check it out. I mean, look at this. I think this is really deep water. I really don't want to wreck my camera or anything, but I'm balancing on these branches. I threw some dead branches in here to get across, but literally there is like no bottom in this stuff, and I can see a current going through, and it's pretty sketchy. Hopefully I can get across. I checked trying to get across without anything, and my boots went over almost immediately. So I'm really hoping that I don't slip off of this stuff, because I'm just sitting on these branches here, but they're staying up in this mud. It's like 2 inches of water and then like about 5 feet of muck. So it's pretty sketchy. Let's see if I can get across this. Hopefully I gotta kind of get a little bit of a bridge over on that end. I had a branch to hold on to. This is kind of Maybe I can. The stuff we do for deer, right? This is where it's really deep. I could get into some trouble here. This is not good. Probably should rethink this, but I'm a little committed now. I got a hold of this tree here. Maybe this can help guide me across. One small step for deer hunters. Whoa, one giant step for mobile hunting, right? There we go. Whoa, this is not good. Oh. Whoa. Please don't break. Please do not break. Oh, there's no bottom there. Whoa. There is literally no freaking bottom there. Whoa. Well, great. I have no idea how I'm getting back across that because this side is way deeper and this stuff would not support me. Well, I may have to swim my way out. But for now, we'll finish scouting, and at least I cooled off. I got boots full of muck. So this is the deer heaven I was talking about. Look at all this feeding, because people just aren't getting back into here. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at all this feeding on this orange julep. Whatever that is. They're eating on the stinging nettles. Look at all this deer traffic. Holy cow, this is crazy. This is crazy. So this is what we're looking at. There's no trees in here, but I got a tree over here where I could shoot across that canal into this. And there's the main trail over here. Right here. I just got to break a couple of these dead branches out of the way and I can hit this. I mean, geez. The stuff we do for deer hunting, eh? This is crazy, but this is where they're at. I mean, look at this browsing. You know, this stuff will still be being browsed come September. This is a hot summer plant and area. So, well, I'm excited. I got in here, I'm happy I did. Now I just got to break some of this dead stuff out of the way and I got some good shooting. Look at that. This is the trail coming into that spot pack here along the creek. And look at how pummeled it is. Look at all these fresh tracks. It rained yesterday, or last night, I mean. It was raining this morning when I got up and there's fresh tracks on here. And everything is eaten off. All these plants are chewed off on this trail. And it's pretty obvious to me that there's a lot of does that bed in this stretch. And years past, I've seen rubs just pick up in here like crazy in pre-rut. And I think there's an opportunity early season to get in here when they're feeding on these stinging nettles and this orange julep and the buckthorn leaves. And there's also an opportunity in early November, late October, when those bucks start cruising this trail, right along this transition. I know from past this is just worked up with scrapes and stuff, but look at this. There are no trees. And no trees equals no hunters. You don't see any hunters in here. they're back where the trees are. So this is looking pretty good. So I just got to check a couple more spots and then go drain my boots. Just a little ways up from that setup, and I'm finding some good beds along the trail. I mean, this one's worn right into the soil. It's got hair in it, fresh. Lots of traffic coming in and out of it. Nice tracks around it. Right up under this log here, right along the transition. I've seen a couple of them in the grass too. But this one's obviously been here a long time. It's worn into the soil. So it's been used more than just right now. The ones in the grass, it's a little harder to tell if they're temporary or not, or seasonal. This one looks like it's been here a while. Here's another good bed right here. Just like 15 yards from the last one. There's a bunch of them in here. Looks like this is a little bedding area here where it's just a little thick spot. There's one right here too. Here's a bed. But there's one that's really worn in right here. Worn into the ground. Look at that. All of them look like big animals too. They look like fawn beds. Or doe beds. This is stinging nettles. Get this on your skin and a lot of people have a bad reaction to it. See how the deer are eating it right off? Deer can eat stinging nettles. Me, I like raspberries better. Pretty good. Just wish there was more than one. Man, this area here is just tore up. Look at this trail, it's just pounded. Goes down into the creek there, but there's another trail over there going through. There's a trail right here going through. There's a trail right here going through, and they all got fresh sign on them. And all the plants are browsed to the ground. This spot is real heavily used. Not much in here for trees though, just buckthorn. I mean, right in this area would be a good spot. I mean, look at these tracks. I don't know that there's a tree in here. It looks like there's a tree up ahead. I don't know if it's open enough, but oh, we're starting to get some big buck sign in here too. Lots of rubs. Yeah, here's a tree right here. I think I could get into. There's some historical rubs in here quite a bit. Yeah, there's a heavy trail there, here. Could really get a shot right through there to that heavier trail too. A low stand right here. This could work. This could work really good. Obviously the bucks are staging right here because there's a lot of sign right here. And I'd rather be closer to that big trail, but that is only 25-30 yards. It's just that there'd just be a little tiny opening for a shot. But I think that the big bucks are going to be right here because this is where the sign is from the big bucks. So this ain't bad. I think we're going to look at that spot right there. So the spot we just set up is about 50 yards behind me. 50 yards in front of me is the tree that Eric set up in last year and had a doe and a fawn come up underneath him. And the reason he set up there is because there's a heavy rub right in front of the tree with a trail going across. But there's this heavy trail here with all these big rubs on it too. And this one was refreshened last year. And that tree's dead. There's trees all over along the edge that are worked. And there's a heavy rub line going through here. I think that's a better option for this spot for rut. And I think these bucks might be cruising this way. Doe was going that way. I mean, we did scout over there and find some good buck bedding with a good possibility that that's coming through here too. But I have to think they're running this line based on the rub lines. I mean, there's rubs on every tree on this trail. And the does we did see come through were going like this each time we saw them come through. So I think the bucks are going up and down, crossing those doe trails. Here's the tree that was rubbed so heavy last year. And Eric's set up right there. I don't think we have to do anything with this spot. And I think it might be better over there unless we see that crossing again. But he had that doe and fawn come through right here on this trail right here. That trail's still being pummeled. Look at that. Well, I only got about half of what I wanted done. I'm heading back. I'm gonna have to come back out another day and finish it. But yeah, good productive day. Got 2 good spots set up. I think Carol's gonna kill me. Looks like my buddies are waiting for me. It's cookie time. That's cheating. I drove my ATV 15 miles from my house to Dave's farm, and we're starting to look at putting in the clover plots now that turkey season's over. It's kind of nice to see it's really starting to grow in thick back here. You know, every year it gets a little thicker, a little thicker. You see some good deer trails going through here too. But there was a lot of deer activity down in here, but not as much as the years that we had food plots in here. Last year we didn't put food plots in because we didn't know if the farm was going to, you know, remain under the Dockstader family name. But this year I still am not confident of that. But they don't have it up for sale or anything, so I'm going to put the plots in anyways and see what happens. The years that we have plots here, the hunting is way better. And the reason is the bedding on this farm is good or okay, but back in the swamp is way better bedding. So if you give them the food here, then they come up here and they bed, but otherwise they kind of stay off the farm. It's not like they're gone, but there's just a lot less deer and a lot less big deer when there's not food plots. So the food isn't really to kill them over the food, but it's to keep them in the area. Now this particular spot, there's a really good bedding area right over here. And putting a plot down here, they naturally come out this way anyways, but it kind of focuses the movement to right down here, and it gives them something to eat to stay in the area, to want to bed there.
What kind of seed are you using, Dan?
We got Rack brand Lady Luck. The guy from Rack is a friend of mine, so I try to buy his stuff. He's right here in Wisconsin. Real good guy, really knows whitetails and nutrition and stuff, so.
Was he at the Ohio show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing him there.
He was at the Wisconsin one for sure.
But I think he was pretty close to us at the Ohio one. I remember seeing him there, so.
Yeah, he
cool.
He always keeps me full of seed, so. I love the 4 clover blends. This has a whole bunch of clovers in it, like 5 different kinds. There is 5 different kinds of clover in here.
Variety is probably good.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we're just going to use a little hand seeder. We're back in kind of remote, so just going to put some seed in this. Don't know how much I'll need, but this has just got a little lever on here. Opens this up a little bit, and you just wind it. And then we'll. This is a pretty small area, but clover grows so thick, you don't need a big area. And it'll grow down in wet stuff where it just floods all the time and stuff. It grows good in wet soil.
Now this looks like you actually tilled this up with a tiller.
Yeah, I actually bought one online.
Versus your
put on the ATV.
Versus your 4-wheeler.
Yeah, you got to put bricks on and stuff, but yeah.
You were probably worried about starting the swamp on fire again.
Right, but I didn't buy like a press or anything, so we'll get to spin the ATV to plant the seed.
The Cultipacker.
Yeah, the Cultipacker. That's my Cultipacker.
We gotta put a sticker on there.
The Cultipacker.
The Cultipacker.
Sounds like a nickname you give Rick. The Cultipacker.
All right. Let's get some of our stuff spread. Cultipacker. Dan's version of the Cultipacker. It actually works pretty nice.
Okay. So we got some pretty good rain coming for the rest of the weekend, so between me zipping around a little bit in the rain, settling it down into the loose soil.
Yeah, finally. I know you got a little bit of rain recently, but we've been dry for probably 3.5 weeks now up by me.
Yeah, I would say in like 3 weeks there's going to be a green film across here.
Yeah, you seeded it pretty good.
I mean, last year that buck had a big scrape here, he had a big scrape there. I mean, the biggest attraction was there's a lot of does that come in here. And then I don't shoot any of the does.
Right.
Just let it be. And that buck comes sniffing around towards, mid-October usually.
So Dan and I are headed over to Dave's property, and we're gonna cut some shooting lanes, and we're gonna mow down some grass and stuff so we can spray the weeds and plant some plots. But I'm driving Dan's truck right now. We're headed over to the farm, and we got Wild Man Dan in front of me on the wheeler. and I think he's loving it. He's like driving like a wild man. He's like leaning into his turns and everything. Here we go. Wild man Dan. There he is. He's got to be just loving that. Can't wait to see his hairdo when he gets off of that thing. Look at this crazy guy. Looks like he's wearing a cape. Oh, that's funny stuff. Oh yeah, his hairdo is something else. I'm having a hard time keeping up with him in the truck here. Here, we'll see if we can't get a little closer so we can get good video of this guy. Wild Man Dan.
Before we get started, I want to show you something.
Okay.
A really cool bedding area that's been there for years. I haven't looked at it in a couple years, but I'm sure it's still there. There's these bucks that come in here and bed and watch our access.
Okay.
Come here, I'll show you. Look at my lovely neighbor's kid.
Oh, nice.
So our access is from the top of the farm up here, you know, up by those trees is where we can come in from.
Yep.
And pretty much the only place we can park our truck is right there. So we're kind of stuck unless we park along the road and come in the side. We can do that. But the bucks will come in and they'll bed right in here, underneath these trees here, in this stuff, because the west wind blows over the hill like this. So you come in here wind to back with a west wind, they jump up here and take off.
No kidding.
I came in one time, not last season, but the season before. I got in here and a buck tore off out of there. And then I went and I set up in here and I filmed them sneak back.
Oh, really?
And bed back down, yeah.
Interesting. It makes perfect sense with the layout, right? With the hill being right there on a west wind, and they got that thick cover right in there.
I haven't looked in there in a while, but let's see if the beds are in there.
Yeah. Not a place you would expect it, but that's typically where they are, right?
Right. It's always like right where these trees are right here.
Mm-hmm. It almost forms like a little point, right?
Right, right, and the beds are always in the same spot. I'm sure there's other beds in here, but the bucks would always bed right on this end point, you know? You kind of see the deer trail.
Yeah, yep.
And there's always rubs in here too. I don't see any fresh ones, but these trees got rubbed a few different times, you know?
Oh, sure enough.
Yeah, here's a bed right here. Look at this. It even looks like it's been used recently. See it?
Oh, yeah.
See how everything's compressed?
Yep, there's a bed straight back behind it.
Yep. So these are the two beds that usually get it. Yeah, you see fresh deer tracks in there, see?
Sure. Yep, that's definitely...
Oh, and this one even looks more used.
They're using it for sure. That is matted down.
Check this one out. See that?
Oh, yeah.
And then from right here, this guy has a real good view. See this? You know how they like that back cover?
Yeah.
And now you can see what I mean about the west wind. So he's got his back cover here, but he can see out, so he can escape that way if he sees something, that way if he smells something. See how it's a perfect layout?
Yes, it is. You can't beat that. He's right underneath your nose, but he knows if you're coming.
And how many people, how many people would hunt a farm like this, and they're not going to hunt any of this grass?
They would walk right past
They're
us.
going to go back to the woods.
Yep.
You know, and this is where the deer live.
Interesting.
It almost looks like by the tracks and by those little beds that a doe bedded here last. Those look like fawn beds.
Yeah, they do.
Matter of fact, this looks so compressed, I wouldn't doubt it if we kicked them out coming in.
Yeah.
Because look at this. I mean, this is fresh compressed.
Yep.
That stuff pops back up after a day.
Right.
Once you get used to looking at this stuff, you know, that pops up after a day. So that looks really fresh compressed. Two fawns is what I'm saying.
Yep.
Cool, eh?
I would agree. Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, that is a perfect layout for a buck. No doubt.
I thought you'd enjoy seeing that.
Yeah, definitely.
So this food plot we got right in this corner, I haven't used it in a few years, but last year we had a lot of big bucks coming out in this corner, and we really didn't have a setup in here. And there's a really good spot for a tree stand, and it's really close to the bedding, and I think a little clover plot in here would be really cool.
Yeah, I remember last year I actually set up in that stand right there, and I could make out 3 deer coming through, but I just wasn't within range. They were just does, but still.
Several times we've seen deer in here. One time it was a real big buck, and it was just out of range.
Yep, okay.
And I actually filmed bucks coming in and out of there right here.
Yep.
Coming across. Especially gun season, if you remember, I filmed a couple of them come through here.
Well, you shot some with your bow coming out of here too, I remember.
Yeah, last year that real big one I shot was...
Right on that tree line, right?
It was right there, yeah.
Yep.
So look at this trail. For this time of the year, this is just...
Oh yeah, that's getting used.
I mean,
No doubt about
really
that.
getting used.
And it hasn't even been wet, and it's showing that sign.
Cattle tracks. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
So we definitely need a setup in here. Used to have a setup right here, but the tree fell down.
Okay.
There's always a scrape right here.
I see.
So these deer tend to pop out right here.
Yep.
Oh, look, they made a scrape since I've been here last.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's since I've been here last. I was just here not too long ago. I sprayed all this.
Cool.
So this is where they pop out, and I'm thinking if we could get a stand up here and have a lane.
Oh yeah.
There's one straight tree over there.
Yep.
And if we can't, maybe we put that one of those tripods over here, but I'd rather have a stand in that tree over there. Then I can shoot that trail that's on the other side too.
Right, right.
So I'm thinking if we take this fallen tree out of here, zip all this out of here, make a little clover plot to maybe hopefully get them to step into here.
Oh cool. Yep.
And then we'll just leave it alone till hunting season.
I like your idea. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's get to work.
You can see this jungle in here. There's a little swamp area out there, and that's where all that bedding is. That's where all the deer come out of and filter out this way into the fields behind us. Stand is set up right in that willow tree out here, and this is the plot. This is the clover plot. Well, what will be a clover plot. So this will be a nice little draw for deer. But those deer do like to, if this clover plot isn't here, they like to filter out this way. And this is that heavy deer trail I was talking about. And that goes straight out into a grass field up here where we would like to put a couple more plots. But it's probably a 35-yard shot or so out of that stand to here. So we just had to do a little bit of clearing here to make sure we had a shot. But should play out pretty good. You got a path cleared out that way?
Yeah, so we got that fallen tree, and we like that because then we can come in up against that fallen tree and the deer aren't going on the other side. So deer can't reason. So they can't smell you over there and think that this food plot's a danger. You know what I mean? It's a whole different area
Right.
for them.
Yep.
So that access and never coming over here is huge. So I like it. And now we got a nice quiet trail comes into it through all that thick briars and stuff. A lot of, thorn bushes and stuff. But we can go right up that tree quietly with those deer bedded 50 yards from us. They're just inside of here. So generally they pop out right here. Now they pop out over different places and go that way too. We got setups for that. But this particular spot has been picking up more and more and more. And a lot of the bigger bucks have been hanging to this end. Now, give or take whether or not this does some damage, but we certainly weren't killing them as they're coming through here naturally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we had to come in here and do something, clear out a shooting lane or whatever. And that's quite a poke in a little hole, and I think if we can just get them to step to the side and check out the clover for a second before they move up, I think it'll give us an opportunity to kill. That stand's pretty well hidden from here.
I think it's a brilliant layout because that will get those deer to draw in here a little bit before they just take off to the grass fields that way.
Yeah, my biggest worry was that wonky tree, but we got a stand in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, you can't really do anything else. You have to have a stand so you have that tree for your back. I mean, you can't use a saddle or anything like people like to do because you'd be skylit as soon as those leaves come down. But you can get right in there and get your back against that tree.
On that tree with the saddle, you'd be hanging like 4 feet off the side of the
It'd
tree.
be wonky. Well, a lot of guys do use them like a stand, but I mean,
Yeah.
that little platform, I mean, you got to be able to get a quick shot off when they're coming through here. I mean, we cleared a hole here so that we got a shot at them the whole time they're coming through here. I think this is a pretty good setup. We're going to leave that grass along the back edge instead of extending the food plot as far as we can, because that'll just give them that sense of cover, you know, that barrier from the trail. And clover is really good for this, because if you put anything else in a plot this size, they just eat it to the ground.
All right.
The clover, I can get that in here really heavy.
And they'll pick at it.
Yeah, they won't demolish it,
Right.
but they love it. You know, and that lasts pretty well.
Yep.
The whole early season. So I think we're set. Let's go do another spot.
Yeah. I noticed this trail coming out here, Dan. Do you ever see deer exiting out this way?
Yes.
I tried to
They
cover
come
it up with
through
some.
here, quite a bit. I used to hunt out of the dead tree that's fallen,
Okay.
and we had a plot here, but it's been years. I mean, it's way back when we were hunting before Dave got that real big buck.
Okay.
From way before that, we had a plot here, and that buck was coming in here. We had trail camera pics of it in here in daylight at noon and stuff. It would drive us crazy. Because during rut, he'd come in after these does, and he'd work this area, and he'd walk into this plot at noon, and we'd come in here and hunt, and he wouldn't be here. And the next day he'd be here at, at noon, and then you come back and he's not, and the next day he's here at 3, and it was like a cat and mouse thing, and you just keep coming in from that side and sliding up the tree. But now we got this nice barrier, but they got that trail, and if you look, there's a real good trail here, and a good trail over there. So there's a lot of ways they can come in here.
Right.
And the bedding is pretty big here. It's like, it goes way off this way, comes around, wraps around here, and there's a lot of satellite bedding that's all the way around. And the bigger bucks bed right over here, just about 50 yards from us, if that.
It'll be exciting to see what happens this season.
Yeah, I hate kicking them out of here at this time, but I think once we got this done and we stay out of here, they'll come back around. I mean, you saw that cattle trail.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I got a little film of it.
Yeah, that's an amazing trail. So,
Cool.
I think we're good.
We are headed back to the second spot that we want to prep today. We're getting back to, if anybody recalls, where Dan found a giant 10-point side shed. That would have been 2 years ago or so, 2 or 3 years ago. So we're gonna get back in there and get some stuff prepped. It'll be interesting to see what this looks like right now, or if anything's using it. Dan has noticed an uptick in deer population around here, and I think it's because it hasn't seen the pressure that it did for a while.
So we got a bedding area over the top there. That's where Dave shot that really big buck. It ran through here. We got a really good hunting area here. That's adjacent to the main big buck bedding area over here. This is where that one antlered 8-pointer came out, that giant that I passed on Halloween a couple years back. And this is where a lot of the big stuff comes through here, filters up to the neighbors. It's kind of a funnel around an open swamp. And here's one heavy trail comes in from over here, but most of the stuff comes in from that way, with a few exceptions coming down here. You kind of see the light down there where the swamp is. They kind of filter around it. Had a lot of action down here over the years. This stand here has paid off quite a bit. Haven't shot nothing out of it, but I've seen some nice deer out of it. Right here, coming right through here, you see the old rub lines on the trees and stuff come through here. Well, a few years back we had a food plot down here. Now we're going to put it back. I came in here last week and sprayed, and I chopped through a tree over here, started spraying this stuff, and walked 10 feet from the chopped tree, and a buck jumped up out of the brush and ran off. That stand right there, I actually shot a big buck out of that and didn't recover it. It was almost straight down. It ran around in a circle, one of the neighbors, and at that time we didn't get along with those neighbors, and they're gone. But right now we're just weed whipping those heavy weeds to put a little clover plot down here right up against the swamp. This is really wet ground, so clover is really the only thing we can plant here, and it's such a small spot that that's what it'll be. But deer bed all around right real close, and it'll just kind of give them a reason to come this direction rather than over the hill or straight over to the neighbors. I think this is a really good kill spot. What do you think?
I like it.
Your eyes are looking bad.
I know. My allergies are kicking my arse.
Yeah.
But we're almost through it, so.
Well, hopefully the allergies get me, because I'll kill the allergies and then they won't bother you no more.
I found a faster method, though.
You did?
Yep, from weed whacking.
What do? Eat it with your teeth?
No, you just take a chainsaw and you start swinging it around like a madman.
I heard the chainsaw running.
The weeds really come down in a hurry.
Really? I want to see this.
Give you a little tutorial.
Yeah. That's like a major chainsaw. That's like 10 times the size of mine. You're going to weed whack with that.
25-inch bar, so every time you swing it, you get 25 inches of clearance.
So I'd imagine, I mean, that takes weeds like nothing, and legs and all kinds of stuff, feet.
Oh yeah, it'll take your legs if you're not careful.
All right, so I'm going to stand back a little bit here.
Imagine seeing a guy cutting his lawn at home like this.
It works. I mean, I think we should do that.
It takes it down pretty quick.
It'd let my neighbors know that I'm crazy, and they'd stay out of my yard. I'll wear my stay off my lawn shirt while I'm doing that.
If you're swinging it around like that, you might not get too many people stopping in.
Yeah, it actually just went through what I've been doing with that weed whacker over there. That took me 15 or 20 minutes. You just did in a couple seconds. This spot, we've got a really good bedding area down there, and the bedding area over here. It just kind of bed all over the place. Even last year I saw a deer get right up out of this stuff bedded. When I was spraying this, a deer got up right here. But I've had a lot of confrontations with huge bucks here throughout the season. Mostly around pre-rut, but throughout the season you get a lot of interaction with deer coming out. I got a stand right here. It's kind of in the open, but I've never had a deer see me up there. It's got 2 trees, and that covers down here. And I got a stand up there on the hillside, and it kind of covers any wind that way. You know, anything except for maybe a south-southeast. You know, southwest I can get away with this. And anywho, what we did was we used to have a plot down here that was a big area down here, and what I didn't like is I think it was a little too open. So we kind of, if you can see down there, we left the 6-foot grass all the way around the edge, made a real small width, and we just came up in the narrow trails kind of coming up into where the deer want to go. They kind of come out of that swamp, and believe it or not, feed on this buckthorn. They love this stuff. I've had them come right through the clover in past years just to eat this. But I do think the clover is going to be a huge draw, and I'm excited about this spot. I think it's going to be pretty good. It used to be nobody else around here had plots. Now they got plots. Now there's a guy leasing over here. He's got plots. So now you got your deer have better food around us. So we got to bring them back.
And then at that point, it's just kind of a game of not over-hunting it too much, right?
Then it's a game of pressure.
Yep.
They're going to be out there maintaining all their crap all the time and their cameras and stuff, and I'm not.
And you won't be here.
Right.
Yep.
I'll just come in for the kill. Once we're done with this, we ain't coming back until it's kill time. So last Friday we came out here and started looking at the food plots for where we're going to put clover. What was interesting is I came in here and this trail got even heavier since we were here last. I mean, the deer have really been using this. They were certainly checking out, and I mean, look, one bedded right here. They were certainly checking out what we did. And it's pretty interesting. I think we got a kind of an aggressive buck in here because he put a scrape down right where we were working. Now this scrape has always been here. That tree that fell down is through there. I mean, obviously now the dogwood's grown in and everything. But there's always been a scrape right here. And this trail, you can see the fresh tracks on it since we've been here, you know, last Friday, not even a week ago. And I stepped on it coming out here to rake, but there was a scrape right here, a fresh scrape. Now this is the area we just We sprayed this like about a month ago. Then we came in last weekend, and after 3 weeks of sitting, we weed whacked it, and now we're gonna rake it out like we've been doing. You see all the weeds sitting on top over there, so that the seeds can sit into it. And we're gonna spray it one more time. In a couple days, we'll seed it again before it rains. But one thing I found interesting, we put the stand up here and we made a trail to the back of it. See how we got that deadfall? Come up to the back of that deadfall and up the tree. Never come over here, and the deer never associate over there with over here. Remember, they can't reason. But while I was raking, I was finding all kinds of deer sign in here, and I thought this was interesting. Here's deer poop on top of what we did. It's pretty old, so it's probably right after we did it. But look at this. Right into here, there's poop. There's a bed right there, and this is how we accessed to put the tree stand up last weekend. These deer are really patterning us. They're figuring out where we are. They're coming in here to guarding the spot when the wind's right so they can smell us coming. It's interesting. So that's one of the critical reasons why when we get this thing done, as soon as I get this thing seated, I don't step foot in here again. I might put a camera in here. If I do, it'll be a cell cam, and I don't set foot in here. Everything's done from over there the rest of the season. I might even try to find a way to put the camera up from over there, like on one of these dead trees, and just reach over, aim it through. But I don't want to step foot in this once it's done. Alright, I brought in a little hand sprayer there, and I'm going to spray the plot now again, a second time. Because the first time I've sprayed it, the grass is this high. I'm sure there's some little weeds in there growing. Just going to make sure it's good and dead before I plant it. So I'm returning to the plot that we did last week. You see it's dyed pretty nice. Interesting that there's again a lot of deer tracks all over the place checking everything out. So if you look at this, once again, there's a trail coming in right here. See all the tracks on it? Since I was out here a week ago, see the tracks going in? And a bed right here. If you got in that bed, it's got a perfect view of how we access this. And it's right below the stand that we set up. These deer are patterning us. The quicker you realize that, the better of a hunter you will be. Over here, we have had some issues, and one time it cost me a big buck, where the bucks get right underneath your stand. So in the new area where there's a lot of debris, I put the debris here so that the deer quit going that way and they go around, so they don't go right directly under the stand. See, there's water standing down here, and see I cut some cattails out of here. That's a good thing about clover. Clover will grow in this wet ground, and it'll grow where it's semi-shaded. A lot of your food plots won't work in that type of situation. This is nice because if you look where that dead tree is, and where these dead trees are over here, deer are bedding in those spots right around here. There's some really good beds over there, and they even bed right just beyond where I got the weeds and the trees there, just beyond there. They get up right here within 50 yards of that stand. So sliding in here quiet and getting in that stand is important. But those deer also need a buffer so they don't spot you, don't, hear you. They come popping out of that thin spot there, and they come popping out of this corner here a lot. And they come right through here. And those are the natural trails, and they naturally come through here. But without the food plot, they might cut the corner over there, they might cut the corner up there. This kind of just pulls them to this spot. All right, so we're back at that first food plot, and it's amazing. I mean, look at the traffic that's been here since I've been here last. I was just here a few days ago, raking it out. There's all fresh tracks in here, just crazy. And look at this over here. You can see where they're working to scrape. And then they're working to scrape over here too. Look at this. It's not even July yet. Look at all these tracks. It's crazy. But look at this. Look at how wore out that is. So the bedding area is right in there. And I mean, we're right on top of it. I'm surprised that they're putting up with all this, you know, me being in here, all this, making this food plot. But as soon as we get this done, we're putting a cell cam in here and we're getting out and leaving it alone. I think this is gonna be the last stage here. We're just gonna seed it and try to till the seed in, and then we're done. And then we gotta do the one in the back. So we just looked at that scrape over there. Look at this. Underneath these grapevines and stuff, you see where they're chewed on? Look at another scrape. And the trail that goes through here. Isn't that crazy? I mean, we just sprayed this. I've been in here like crazy. I think this is gonna be a really good spot. Yeah, we'll throw a bunch of seed down and see what happens. This is where the bucks come from. Here. That one was bedded right here. What do you think, Jamie? Is there some deer back here?
Oh yeah, definitely. That was pretty cool.
We gotta get you back here.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The clover's coming in pretty good. It's coming in pretty heavy. I see a lot of weeds coming in too, though. But it's a good blanket of green across here. I'm also seeing a lot of deer tracks. Now, it rained pretty heavy yesterday and washed a bunch of them out, but this is pounded with deer tracks. It's like they can smell the clover. I put in a camera now so we can see what comes out here, and monitor if that buck we were after last year actually shows up again this year, which I think he will. There's only so much time. You know, you think you got this whole summer, you don't. You got a few hours here and there after work and weekends and stuff that you gotta dedicate to stuff. You got just so much scouting time, just so much glassing time, just so much set tree stands, putting food plots, do land management work, and you really have to decide how to balance that. You know, and I was balancing between the public land scouting and figuring out spots and Dave's farm, and I thought I had a pretty good balance going. I really felt good about the season coming between Dave's farm and the stuff I found on public. I was really feeling good. Putting a lot of work over at Dave's, a lot of work. And then I got the text, right when I got home from Dave's, from putting in a food plot. They sold the farm. I've got basically this weekend to get my stands off the property. So obviously I'm happy for Dave's family that they're able to close on the property, make some money. I didn't see it coming. I was kind of blindsided. They took the for sale signs down, leased the farm for crops, and I just didn't think they were going to sell it at this moment, and I think somebody came in and made an offer. So I guess I need to get it out and do a little more scouting on the public and work harder. I'm happy for Dave's family, but sad to see that farm go. It's going to really hurt. Been hunting there for over 30 years. It's always hard to let something like that go. It's hard to hunt there every year too, though, without Dave. The last couple here. So anywho, going to be hitting the swamps hard. And maybe spend a little time at my thinking chair with my furry buddies.